All right, guys. Hey, I'm Zach. I'm here with Alathea today. She asked me specifically not to go into any sales objection training right away. So we're going to start with, call me like I'm a lead, like I'm a vet lead.
Like a vet lead?
Yeah, like a vet lead or general life lead, whatever leads you're dialing right now. What lead type are you working?
Right now I'm on Gen Live. I
Okay,
just switched.
call me like I'm a general life lead.
Ring, ring, ring.
Hello?
Hey, Zach.
Yes, this is Zach.
Hi, Zach. This is Olathe. I was calling you back for the life insurance request you'd submitted. How are you today?
I'm good. I don't remember doing that.
I don't remember what I eat for breakfast most mornings. Looks like you put down your beneficiary as Deborah. Is that correct?
That's my wife's name. Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, perfect. And then date of birth I've got is 03/17/1965.
1965. She is 30 years older than me, but yes, that is correct.
Okay, awesome. Well, I'm the medical underwriter assigned to the file. I'm the one that's going to go over your eligibility and see which kind of carriers are going to get you approved today. Now, before we get started, can I have you grab a pen and paper so I could offer you my
Sure.
credentials? Okay.
Got it. Ready. Keep going.
All right, I'll spell out my first name for you. It's a little weird.
Well, you can skip that part. Go
Okay.
to the actual part of the appointment.
All right, sick. So, Zach, whenever you put this request in, what was the main concern? Was it mostly funeral expenses? Were you trying to leave extra behind or cover some debt?
Combo. I think funeral expenses and some debt.
Okay, got it. And just so you know what my job is, I'm actually not like a sales agent. I'm an underwriter for the state. So what that means is they've given us access to every single insurance carrier in the entire country. Does that make sense?
Perfect. All right,
Okay.
you nailed it. Good job.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, that's why you don't say, hey, we're about to do this, and Alathea goes, hey, I just don't want to do anything sales related.
I know,
I'm like,
I
okay,
know.
well, we're definitely gonna do that to start. But hey, thank you for jumping on. Alathea works in the office right next to mine and sells 50 grand a month. What was your best month so far?
I want to say it was like 47.
47. Okay, and I'm in sales, so I like to round up. So
Yeah,
50
50.
grand a month, and you've been with us about a year.
Almost, it's like over a year and a half now.
Year and a half.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
So been full-time insurance a year and a half. What I know you've been around the industry for a long time, and you
Yeah.
kind of seen it. A lot of people try to recruit you.
Yeah.
Now that you've because you worked for someone doing high-ticket sales to insurance people, and then
Right.
now you're an insurance person. Like, how's that transition been going from being on one side to the other, and what do you think about what we do now?
I think I was super lucky because I got to talk to a lot of successful agents and a lot of broke agents.
Yeah.
So I was able to kind of like look and see what they're doing and what they're not doing, and then kind of like go towards what obviously the rich people were doing.
Yeah.
And that's actually why I went with FFL. Like I talked to people from WFG, people from Symmetry, like all over. And FFL genuinely had like the highest paid agents. So I knew that that's where I had wanted to go.
Could you tell they were the highest paid just because you would sell them stuff and they'd buy it? Or
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
they didn't pretend to be rich. So you were just like,
Yeah.
oh, this is $5 grand. They're like, sounds good, no
Yeah,
problem.
they had budget. They had money to spend.
Got it.
And I was going to take it.
And the other ones did not have, the other people you talked to were more hesitant to spend money on stuff.
Yeah, hesitant to spend money on stuff. And obviously, like, we're not writing a lot of business. And
Yeah.
so I was lucky that I was able to kind of see, like, all the different options. And, you know.
Has it been harder than you thought it was going to be? Easier? About the same? Like, what has it been like selling, and then you're building a team now? Like, how's the overall experience been so far?
I mean, brand new, like, yeah, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. First 90 days is tough, but that's
Yeah.
something that I knew in the beginning before going into it. So I knew I was going to give it my all. But there were a lot of things that I did in the beginning that helped me succeed, and I'll go over them quickly.
Yeah.
So number one, like I worked 12-hour days, 6 days a week, right? The second one is going to be that I bought leads really early on. So like within my first 2 weeks, I spent like $1,400 on leads.
Yeah.
It was scary. Like I wasn't like rolling in money or anything, but I knew I had to do it. And then 3 was I was living in Missouri at the time, and I flew down every single month for the lock-ins
Yeah.
and for the in-person training. So I think those 3 things, like, people can apply immediately if they're able to.
Yeah, I think that's one thing that I've always seen is you can get a lot of help and mentorship virtually, but
Yeah.
getting around people, because if you're on a call, you have a set amount of time. But if you get to spend time around people that are doing well, like you get to see other things that they can't explain on a call, like how they work, like how much they show up, how they act all the time, like how they treat people. And that was when I started spending time around people like Sean and Andrew. I got to see I got to watch Sean tip every valet with $100 bill, you know?
Yeah.
And I got to see how Andrew was around his family. And I was like, oh, these are people I want to be in business with because the way
Yeah.
that they act in general, not just on a 10, 20, 30-minute phone call.
Yeah.
and you pick up other things that help you in business too.
Yeah.
I think.
I think that is like a huge point. Like I have my team is bigger that's on Zoom than it is in person. But already like the 5-6 agents that I have in office have like produced way more than the people who I've had for months on Zoom. And I think one, it's being around people that are doing things at a high level. So like my Zoom agents, they see me, you know, and they're like, okay, like she did it, I can do it. But like my in-person agents are like, okay, there's 30 guys around me. Like I'm a loser if I'm not doing this. You know what I mean? So it's going from like a bunch of like brand new broke agents on Zoom to like an office full of high producers. So it's a huge belief system.
Yeah. And so before you started doing high ticket sales, like was that straight out of high school or out of college, or what was your background before that?
I'm a high school dropout. I dropped out of high school. Yeah.
Did you actually? I didn't know that. I thought you dropped out of college.
I dropped out of college too.
Oh, okay, cool, perfect.
I dropped out of both.
I didn't know that you could drop out of college without finishing high school.
Well, I got my GED.
Okay,
but okay, so I dropped out at like 16, 17. That's a whole other thing. And then I got my GED and I dropped out of college. In high school, when I had first dropped out, I was a manager at McDonald's.
Really?
For like 2-3 years.
Okay.
And then I did in-home care for like mentally disabled adults. I would literally have adults like who are like mentally challenged attacking me on like a daily basis.
Okay.
Yeah. And so I was like, all right, let me try sales.
And then so you just applied to sales jobs, found high ticket sales.
Yeah, just on Indeed.
Okay, cool. And it's because it was local to you.
Yeah, local to me. And I think that they were advertising like $500 a week. And I was like, sounds great. Yeah, like let's do that.
Yeah. I remember when I started doing insurance sales, the ad that stuck, the reason I clicked on the ad was it said that you could make unlimited money, but like the average person made like, I said $150K a year. And my goal my first month was to make like $6,000, you know?
Yeah.
And I think like it changes so much because your goal now, like if someone told you make $500 a week now, you'd be like, you'd probably throw open your mouth, right?
Yeah, I'd be like, that's horrible.
What are your goals for this year as far as like team size, income, production? Like, do you have long? What are your income goals for this year now? From someone who used to, your goal was like, oh, make $500 a week. That sounds awesome. $2,000 a month. Yeah.
Well, my goal this year is going to be Hall of Fame, which I'm on pace to hit. So Hall of Fame, for those who don't know, is 400,000 issued premium in a year. And then team-wise, by the end of the year, I want to be at 500K a month.
Got it. What about income? Do you have a certain income goal you want to make?
Honestly, like I'm a really competitive person. So like I know the money's going to come. If, you know, I hit Hall of Fame, I make the 400 grand, I know at least I'll make like 3. Yeah. So I'm more about like numbers and let me beat all these people out here. All these dudes. Yeah.
That's what I was going to ask too. So like why do you think in insurance sales specifically, there's not a ton of, the women that sell are really good, but there's not like a ton of women.
Yes.
Like it's probably, I don't know what the numbers are, but it's probably 20% of the sales force, maybe less.
Yeah.
Like, why do you think that is? And then if you were talking to women out there, like, hey, you could do this, like, what do you think makes women a good fit? Or why have you had success doing this so far?
Yeah, I think there's like an A-type personality and a B-type personality. Like Zach, you and I are definitely both like A-type personalities. So that's like assertive, dominant, like not going to let people walk all over you. I think I've hired a lot of women actually because I have a lot of girls that reach out to me and like I put them through the exact same system as the guys, you know what I'm saying? But the ones with the A personality type who are like dominant, assertive, like don't care what someone says on the phone, like those are the ones that do well. Yeah. And I think having a really competitive personality type too.
Yeah, and I think it's such a, like most people that are getting called for insurance getting called by guys, it's such a pattern disruption when a female calls them too, that they're just like, their guard's down immediately. Yeah. You know? Yeah. And like a lot of the older people were calling, like a lot of the decision makers, right or wrong, are men. So like when a female calls them, like they're immediately kind of disarmed, right? It makes it a little bit easier to at least get the conversation started, I think. Not
only that, but you should hear me on the phones. I have a little country twang that
I've
throw
heard
on
it
there.
Because your office is right there. Yeah, I'm like, where did that come from?
Yeah. Everyone's like, I love your accent. I'm like, it's fake.
It's fake.
It's like, and like guys can't do that. Like guys can't do that. So like if you're a girl and you can just like fake a little country accent, you can't tell a cute little southern girl no. You can't tell me no.
That is a sales strategy for sure. Maybe I'll try that.
Yeah. Let me hear your best country accent.
No, but I lived in Charleston, South Carolina, where I got out of college, and I am from Colorado. But I started saying y'all after that, and I've never been able to get rid of it.
Yeah, it's Perfect.
It became part of my vocabulary. And everyone in Colorado was like, "Why do you say y'all?" Is it because of Texas? I'm like, no, that started in South Carolina.
Yeah.
So, and I just never was able to kick that habit.
Yeah, I don't know where mine came from, but it works.
Yeah, it works. So did you have background of people in your life that did sales or entrepreneurship or anything? Like, I think one of the hardest parts about what we do or about being an entrepreneur in general is like the outside sources, friends, family, the people you grew up with. If they've not done something like that, then they think it's weird.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So did you grow up around people who own businesses or anything like that?
No, my parents, they have a very like impoverished mindset. Like I don't come from money at all, like on any sides of my family. And so like that was really difficult to start making good money and posting about it too, to try and like get more agents in, was because I know that they were going to see that. And then I think that I don't know what's different about me than my parents or my siblings, but I think I just wanted more than what I saw they have, you know?
Yeah, it makes, and it's not always financially, right? So you just want to have a bigger impact, accomplish different things, be competitive.
Yeah. And I believe you don't have to live in poverty, and like there's so much that out there that like people don't even know, like opportunity wise, you know, because no one's presented it to you, but like there's so much more that you can do for like other agents and like for yourself and building generational wealth. But I think it's just like the right person has to present the right opportunity.
And you can have a cool impact on your family too. Like you start making money, you can teach them about money, teach them about things they never would have heard of before, and kind of help them get out of that same sort of circle, right? What do you think? What do you think has allowed you to have success? Like I was starting to build up a team now because you've started to recruit a lot of agents. You posted some stuff on Instagram. You've started to get a big following there. But like for your first year here, your recruiting was kind of up and down. Like what do you think has changed to where you feel more confident? Is it that you feel more confident sharing the opportunity now? Is you're more confident in yourself, better systems? Like what do you think's changed to where you feel like you're like off to the races now?
I think in the beginning I was like, okay, the only thing I can do right now is recruit warm market. And when you're a college and high school dropout and don't have a lot of friends in a city, you're like, I have zero warm market.
Why did you think only warm market? Just because you didn't want to spend any money? Okay.
Yeah, and I didn't want to spend money because recruiting is like leads is one thing. Leads is quick money. You give them $1,000, you know, you sell like $5,000 to $10,000. With recruiting, it's like I'm going to recruit this person, and in 90 days I might see a small check, you know. But I was like, okay, I don't want to sell forever. And I realized that when you have a couple bad weeks and you're like, I hate the stress of like, what am I going to sell this week? You know what I'm saying? So I was like, I knew I had to build a team. My groove was just like posting consistently. So everyone sees like the get ready with me, if you're a woman, not you, Zach.
I've not seen those,
the get ready with me's, the day in the live, like all this stuff that just blows up for free. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, okay, let me just try this. I posted one video, it did well. And then I posted again and again and again, and it's had a lot of traction. And I didn't spend a dime on any of that.
Yeah, and you just decided like, hey, I'm just gonna start trying things and see what works. You mentioned like spending money on leads, like how that's a different mindset shift, and then spending money on recruiting that's another mindset shift. And I remember looking at that too and going, okay, like if I like trying to figure out how you're gonna break even on that stuff is an interesting mental deal. Because it's like, say you spend $2,000 on recruiting on something, and I think people like always overthink how much it takes to break even. But I remember going through this with a lot of people. Like, all right, you're spending $2,000 a month on this. I talked to someone about this last week. You spend $2,000 a month on this recruiting service. You've recruited like 3 guys from that. Not great, but 2 of them sell $20,000 a month, and you have a 20% spread on it. You know, so I'm like, you're making upfront like $3,500 a month on that. So like that, like those 3 people you've hired pay for that forever. Like you're already in the green. But they're like disappointed because they don't have more from it. You know, so I think it's hard because you have to really get good. Especially like you didn't have a business background, like you dropped out of high school and college. I went to school. My major was biochemistry in college. Like I knew nothing about business. And you have to teach yourself to go like, okay, like how would a business look at this expense? Like, does this expense generate a ROI? And like, what is the ROI? And not how do I feel about it, but what do the actual numbers look like? Because there's been other things I felt really good about that created no ROI. You know? So I say that all to say, like, have you started tracking things like that, like very detailed, and has that helped you feel more comfortable about spending money in and out of the business?
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, I am running recruiting ads, but still spent like a little less than $1,000. and it's gotten me like 220 something messages. You know, so I'm able to recruit a lot of people off a small amount. But I did exactly what you told me to do probably a couple weeks ago, where you're like, track it exactly how you track your daily dials and your sales. So now my goal is to recruit 10 agents a week. And I'm taking like 7 to 10 recruiting calls per day. So out of that, like, I'm only expecting one of them to stick, you know? And so 10 a week has kind of been my number, and it's been really, really working.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, like, with recruiting get frustrated because they don't know what the numbers are supposed to look like. And they're like, well, I did a bunch of recruiting calls this week. I'm like, okay, from the calls, like, how many hires? From the hires, how many actually signed up for class? Like, from people that signed up for class, how many got licensed? And then from the licensed people, how many did you sell? I think when you start segmenting it apart, then you can tell, like, oh, usually it's just the inputs aren't very good. And I think I shared with you my numbers. I'm like, if we had 10 people that signed up for class, I would only get 3 of those licensed. Which is probably on the low end of compared to what most people do. But instead of me trying to fix whatever in the middle, because I'm like, I don't know if I can fix that. I don't know if I'm maybe not charismatic enough, not a good. I don't care. I'll increase the inputs on the other side.
That's good.
And that's kind of what you've done too. You're like, I'll just figure this part out and then I'll get better at the rest of the process.
And honestly, like, the fact that we have to put people through like licensing and contracting honestly helps filter out the people who like really want this super bad, because you've got to put a little bit of work into it to be able to even start working, you know, and selling life insurance. So that definitely helps too. Yeah,
and it filters out the process to where it's like, if you can't get your state license, get fingerprinted, pay $100 for your license for the state, and $300 for everything else that you have to do with the other states to get a couple licenses, and read some emails and get contracted, like, that person's not going to wake up early. They're not going to dial leads. They're not going to work hard anyway. And instead of trying to fix that, it's like, let's just find some other good people who are already motivated and disciplined that are just in the wrong vehicle.
Exactly.
What do you think? Because you've had a lot of people, I know just from talking to you, reach out that do, you know, solar sales, door-to-door sales, pest control, car sales, real estate, wholesale, like all these different sales jobs. Like, what do you think makes what we have now like the best vehicle if you want to do sales, right, in America? Because I believe it is, but I want to know why you think it's the best.
I've actually had like a lot of conversations with door-to-door people, like pest and solar specifically, because I know there's a lot of stuff with the solar world right now. And I would say the turnaround, so like how fast things happen, controlling the controllables. So with our business, there's 3 people involved: you, the client, the carrier. So you're not waiting on service people or roofing people to like have to get this, to get paid.
HOA,
to get paid on that. Exactly. Permitting, all of that stuff. And, you know, all these solar guys, they're telling me like, best case scenario, I get paid in a month or 2. Like sometimes it's like 5 to 6. And same thing with real estate too. Like there's so many middlemen involved. Like, how nice would it be to call a couple people and it's literally you, the client, and the carrier, you know? Like, there's no middleman. And people ask me, what about follow-up? It's like,
what follow-up?
What follow-up? It's like, if the client needs me, they'll call me, you know? And that's it. So that is literally the number one difference, because how frustrating would it be, you know, to have to like sit around and wait and, you know, someone fucks up the roof, you know, or like the HOA says no, or whatever it is, you know? And then like your sale's gone.
Well, that's how insurance used to be years ago, right? It was where you'd write a policy and it would be when I started, I was writing paper applications and you'd have to fax them in. And then you'd have to wait a week or 2 for an underwriter to physically look at it. And if they were above a certain amount, like if it was above $300,000, this is 2017, it wasn't 100 years ago. Then they'd have to go get like a physical, blood, urine, the whole thing. And now we have carriers that go up to $3 million with no physical, and then you get instant approval because technology's gotten a lot better. And I think that's the difference, is like insurance. When I started, insurance, I think, was like really much the same as like car sales, real estate, pest control, solar. Like they all had the same kind of bottleneck. But to your point, like if you could do solar sales and like get it instantly approved and paid the next day, like everyone would do that.
Everyone would do it.
And that's what insurance has changed. I don't think people realize, like, as long as you're good at sales, like the back end stuff that clogs every other sales process up is what we have solved because of the technology that our carriers use, so they're able to get people paid like the next day. And the only difference is you don't have to, but you can spend money on leads. But if you want to use the same door knocking strategies or whatever you've done to sell solar or pest control, you can do that too. But we're like, hey, an easier alternative is spend some money on leads. Then you can make 3, 4, 5 sales a day if you get really good, instead of having to door knock all day.
I have a guy, his name's Joshua. I'll give him a little shout out. He just came from Symmetry. It's his very first day. He's on like a free lead platform. He's already sold 3 policies. And it's like 2 p.m. And I was like, how many policies did you sell with Symmetry this whole time? Because he worked there for like 3 months. And he goes, I sold 2 policies. I'm like, you
Crazy.
just beat that in an afternoon with us.
Just because we figured out, and that's the other thing that I think
Yeah.
we realize is like, instead of us doing in-home sales and having to be really specific, like we live in Austin, if you're getting Travis County veteran leads and this zip code, like it's very expensive and hard to
Yeah.
get the leads in.
Yeah.
So we're like, hey, we'll do virtual, cover a couple of states, and we can get leads for $5, $6, $7, $10, $15 a lead
Yeah.
instead of $50, $60, $70 a lead.
Yeah, he was telling me he spent like $500 a week, would get like 7 mortgage protection leads,
Yeah.
and nobody knows what mortgage protection is. We don't push a product on a client either. It's like
Yeah.
we meet a need.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that's what also makes like leads cheaper. It's just like, you need life insurance. We'll figure out what kind of product you need based on like what you're wanting it for.
Yeah, and I started doing mortgage protection sales. I remember, like, to his point, if you could only spend $500 on leads, then you would get like 7 leads. You wouldn't be able to work it all.
Right.
Or if you were me and you were like, I need to work a lot this week, you'd have to spend like $3,000 a week on
Yeah.
leads to get enough leads,
That's
which
tough.
was fine. But it's hard to get to the point where you can spend $3,000 a week on leads.
Mm-hmm.
And even if you have credit cards, it took me 6 months to build up my cash flow
Yeah.
where I could do that. So
And I think mortgage protection, like everyone loves it and it's glamorous because they preach that like the premium is going to be so much higher. But honestly, like I have life insurance policies where it's like the same amount, you
Yeah.
know? So
I totally agree. Well, hey, I appreciate you sitting down. I love to see your success, evolution, and like you said, kind of breaking family curses and
Yeah.
whatnot, and hopefully kind of changing the way they think about money and
Yeah,
everything. So
definitely.
appreciate the time.
Thank
If anyone
you,
wants to
Zac.
reach out to you, they can find you on Instagram. Is
Yes,
that the
sir.
easiest way to get a hold of you?
Probably.
Okay, got it. What's your name on Instagram?
It's ALATHEA _RICE and then another underscore.
Perfect. All right. Thanks, Alathea.
Thank you.